provide recommendations to update and clarify the Residential Landlord and Tenant Act. I would like to welcome those in the room and the public that might be tuning in through Capitol TV. Today is Thursday, September 5th, 2024, 3:30 p.m. at the Rhode Island State House in room 135. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I'd also like to ask Ms. Lynn Urbani to welcome us and say a couple of words on behalf of Speaker Circacci.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're very thrilled to have you here today, and on behalf of the Speaker, he acknowledges your presence and is very grateful for your attendance today. As you are aware, you have been appointed to serve on this House Commission at the behest of the Rhode Island General Assembly. I'd like to begin by confirming that you're all here voluntarily, without compensation of any kind, of your own free will, and have agreed to serve on this commission to carry out the purpose of House Bill H8368 from 2024, which is, in short, to make a comprehensive study and to provide recommendations reflecting your work, clarifying the Residential Landlord and Tenant Act. The Commission does have an expiration date and a report date, which you'll be hearing about, and certainly we hope that you will be able to accomplish your goal and reach those dates. If you are here of your own volition and would please signify such confirmation of your willingness to serve, we'd greatly appreciate hearing a yay.
Yay.
Yay. Are there any nays? Hearing none, thank you. First order of business will be to nominate and elect the chair, and as such, do we have a motion?
A motion to nominate the Honorable Justice Christopher Smith as the chair of the commission.
Second.
Thank you, Rep. Place. Thank you, Rep. Morales. And as such, Your Honor, welcome as the newly elected chair. Once again, we look forward to receiving. I'm so sorry, and yes, we do need. Yes, procedurally, that matters. Thank you so much. And may I have a show of hands of all the support for the newly elected chair? Thank you. And are there any nays? Hearing none and seeing no hands of nays, then that means we welcome you now officially. Thank you, Judge Smith.
Thank you. And I'll start off by saying it's an honor, and I look forward to working with each of you over the span of this commission. Next on the agenda, I'd ask everyone to introduce themselves by stating their name, where they're from, and if they have any ideas for agendas, presenters, or other information we as a commission should address and/or consider. I'll formally start it off. My name is Christopher Smith, and I sit on the Rhode Island Superior Court. While not a native of Rhode Island, this is where I consider home with my children. Although I do sit on the Superior Court bench, I joined this commission as an individual. I am not, nor have I had the authority to represent and/or speak on behalf of the courts. I'm here to provide my independent knowledge on presiding over cases in the district court and other ideas in this complex area. For me, areas that I think that I'd like to see discussed and clarified are specifically, we recently passed a ceiling bill to remove evictions from people's records. I'd like to see automatic ceilings for defective complaints where the court lacks jurisdiction to hear it at the outset. That shouldn't count against a tenant to have it refiled again later. I'd also like to see some more ceiling protections for minors. And I'd also like to see a clarification between no-fault termination of tenancy versus non-compliance termination of tenancy, and the ability for tenants to pay rent without having the landlords reject it because they can't submit a waiver. Next, I'll turn to Representative Morales.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is David Morales, and I have the pleasure of serving as the state representative for House District 7, which is in the city of Providence, specifically the Mount Pleasant, Valley, and Elmhurst neighborhoods. I'm excited to be a part of this commission, and I thank Speaker Circacci for being able to collaborate in terms of being able to establish this commission, considering the important and essential issues that currently our tenants and landlords across the state are experiencing. And a lot of these issues are based on what I've observed in my conversations with landlords and tenants. They're based on lived experience, And most importantly, they're based on some of the testimony that we have heard. And as a member of the Municipal Government and Housing Committee, I've been able to hear firsthand from tenants and landlords specifically around issues related to housing discrimination, code enforcement, and the model of governance around code enforcement, the content of lease agreements, such as hidden fees and/or junk fees, eviction filings and the leading causes for evictions, termination of tenancies, and the governance and enforcement of our existing laws. Because over the last several years, we have made strides to level the playing field for both landlords and tenants, but there have been moments where, unfortunately, some of these laws have not been fully enforced. And for that reason, I look forward to being able to welcome all the different stakeholders that are involved, such as organizations like the Center for Justice, Rhode Island Legal Services, municipal officials from inspections and standards, property management company officials, tenant organizers, and of course some of our state agencies that would be responsible for administering some of the policy proposals and recommendations that we hope to establish as a commission. And that includes the Human Rights Commission, the Division of Business Regulation, and the Department of Housing. And I want to also note that given the volume of issues that we seek to address, I'm hoping that this commission can be active between now and going into May as we seek to have a report of policy recommendations. And I myself would recommend that this commission focus on trying to meet twice a month. That way we can maximize the number of stakeholders and members of the general public that are able to come and share their thoughts and perspectives. So to that note, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Representative Place.
Thank you. My name is Representative David Place. I represent District 47, Boroughville and Gloucester, in the northwest corner of the state. I am one of the three members of the House that's appointed to this commission. I serve as the minority leader. I serve as the minority leader's appointment, and I serve as the minority whip. I have been, I guess, introduced to these issues based on my role on the House Judiciary Committee, and I've heard hours of testimony from both sides, both the landlords and the tenants, and understand that it's very important to the people of Rhode Island, both in terms of the property rights of the landlords and in terms of the ability to have consistency in where a person lives from day to day. And in my mind, Your Honor, you asked, what areas to work on. The first thing that's consistently come to my mind, the thing that's consistently come to my mind hearing the testimony is that this can be fixed, or not necessarily not definitively fixed, but a way to fix this is looking at contractual law. The leases between a tenant and a landlord is a contract, and getting that contract right and allowing both sides to enforce their legal rights to those contracts is, in my mind, based on the testimony, the biggest issue that we're seeing right now. The second thing is I hope this commission realizes that there are other industries in this state that in the past have had similar commissions. And I don't want the General Assembly to get into this state of mind where we can regulate ourselves out of this problem. Because we tried that with the nursing home industry. And we eventually eliminated, or we are in the process of eliminating, the mom and pop operations that provided that service. And from the testimony I've heard on House Health and Human Services from that industry, and the testimony I've heard on Judiciary dealing with this industry, the consistencies are scary. And we need to be cautious that we don't move so far with regulations in laws that we put our mom and pop operators out of business. Because if we do that, we'll be left with one thing: corporate giants. And corporate giants don't have emotions. They have lawyers. And those lawyers get paid to do one thing, and that's to litigate. And the group that can save this are the mom and pop operators. The immigrant that saved to to buy their first three-family tenement building as an investment property. Those are the people that can solve this problem. And like I said, that's my 3 cents now.
I'm not used to being on this side of the room. My name is Daniel Denver. I'm a co-chair of Reclaim Rhode Island, a housing justice and tenant rights group here in Rhode Island. And we do a lot of different things around housing and tenant rights. We organize tenants of some of the worst landlords in the state, landlords that you've probably read about in the Providence Journal or Boston Globe, Pioneer Investments, and Elmwood Realty. We organize low-income tenants to fight back against atrocious conditions, the lead poisoning of children, arbitrary rent hikes and evictions. We also advocate for housing policies, both in terms of tenant rights, but also in terms of the housing market, like the public developer, which has been authorized as part of this fall's housing bond, which we're really excited about. As far as we see it, it's a three-pronged crisis for tenants in Rhode Island. There's a cost crisis. Rent has skyrocketed in the Providence metro area, higher, I believe, faster than any other metro in the country. So costs are out of control, rent is out of control. There's a conditions crisis. Lead is the #1 issue because it irreparably harms children, and we encounter lead-poisoned children constantly in our work, but there's also all kinds of other conditions issues that need to be addressed. And then the security of tenancy, the fact that tenants face arbitrary evictions. So, and especially for poor tenants, single moms holding down 2 full-time jobs, trying to protect their kids from lead poisoning, and then suddenly kicked out because they complain. That happens all the time. So certain things that we'd like to look at as Reclaim Rhode Island on this commission, which we're very, very grateful to Rep. Morales for getting off the ground and for the speaker's support. Measures to control rent, protections against arbitrary eviction, and measures to protect the tenant's right to organize tenants union against the rampant retaliation that tenants always face when they take that step. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Dana. I'm the Providence City Solicitor. In addition to the nearly decade of experience I have working for the city, I bring to the commission several years prior to this working as an attorney for Rhode Island Legal Services, where my focus was on tenants' rights and consumer rights. I'm honored to be part of this group, this commission, to work on a task that, as folks have already mentioned, is very difficult, but also of incredible importance to the state of Rhode Island. And I feel we are fortunate that there are so many individuals and organizations within the state that focus a lot on this topic and on related issues in housing that I'm sure we'll be able to employ to work with us as a commission and help us try to produce something very worthwhile and helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gregory Weiss. I'm a realtor, a property manager, and a landlord with about 17 years of experience. And I'm here hoping I can bring some of that real-world experience and share that point of view to improve the landlord-tenant relations and many of the obstacles we've just heard about. Maybe do it in a fair way. Maybe here are some ways we can help landlords come into compliance, especially with the lead issues that we heard about. And I'm not a believer in rent control, but I hear the stories about people arbitrarily getting removed from their apartment, and that's something I think we could hear more about. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shannon Weinstein. I'm from Rent Prov Realty. I've been a realtor, property manager, and landlord of 18 years. In this commission, I'm really happy to be working with everyone here. A lot of the points raised so far are very valid, and I think we should be looking into them. As far as the lead law goes, like Greg said, I agree that something has to be done with helping landlords get into compliance and really get the word out, as there's a lot of misunderstandings as to what's expected right now. We see other states doing things to help people come into compliance, and I think that's something worth looking at. Aside from that, overall, I'd really like to see the landlord-tenant relationship improve. Right now, we'd like to arrive at a place where both landlords and tenants can work together to move forward and understand the expectations on both sides. Misinformation and misunderstandings have led to increased hostility that affects both sides of the equation. We would like to aim at the root cause of these problems and study any proposal that would address the root cause of the problem, such as increasing housing inventory and making it easier to find a home when problems do arise. Like Greg said, I do not believe that rent control is the answer, but I think there are other things that we could do to really attack the root cause that is causing the complaint of needing rent control. Thank you.
I am Steve Conti. Lived in Rhode Island all my life. I'm an attorney for about 35 years. Right now, I exclusively do landlord-tenant law that most of you know. I'm pretty fair across the board when I try to negotiate something. What I try to do when I get to court is it's a fair. I don't try to push either side either way. I try to get a fair outcome. Most landlords just want their money. They don't necessarily want the person out. But my intent here, my thought of being here, was to go through the Landlord-Tenant Act itself and try to clean it up a little bit. Because the problem we have as attorneys, that every time you go in front of one judge, you get a different decision from each judge. There's no kind of uniformity. It's more subjective than objective, as it should be. So I figure if we clean up the statutes a little bit more and make them more specific, then we can get more of a uniform law. I also advise all my clients to get written rentals agreements. So when we get to court, there's no argument who's paying the utilities, how much the rent is, when it's due. So it makes things run a bit smoother on both sides when we get to court. Also, I assume on this board, then when we get the new resolutions or people try to submit new landlord-tenant acts, that we would review them and hopefully word them to a point that it's good for both sides. Because some of these that came through last year, they were so lopsided, and I can see why they failed, because I don't think they had much input from people on my side of the street, whether it be mom and pop landlords or landlords. I'm also a landlord myself, and I've been doing this forever. So again, just clean it up, be fair on both sides, and that's what I'm going to try to do with my position here. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name's Julie Finn. I'm the Executive Director of the Warwick Housing Authority. I've been with the authority for 20 years. I'm a lifelong Rhode Islander, and I hope I could bring something to the table.
Well, I guess I'm last because I was the last one here. I first want to thank Judge Smith for taking the chairmanship. I almost didn't recognize him. He's very tall, you know, and it must be a low seat. Because it looks like Chris Smith, but it's not. He's not tall enough. But I want to thank you for, there's always the extra burden on the chair to keep things running, and I thank you. You're a very competent guy, and I thank you very much for taking that role on. I've been around a long time. I'm a retired judge from the Rhode Island Supreme Court and former mayor of Warwick. In fact, I think I appointed some of her preceders, number them, Mary Whalen, Mike, yeah. And, but I don't have a great depth. We didn't get a lot of, on the Supreme Court, we didn't get a lot of landlord and tenant cases. I can't say I'm well-founded in that law. I do know that it's a problem. If you read the paper and you follow the legislature, which I do, I watch some of it on television, and you're dealing with one of the basic necessities of life. It's heat, it's food, and it's shelter. And so I look forward to serving, and I'm glad to see, I've been around since the early 80s in government, and late 70s, mid-70s. And legislative commissions are usually where ideas went to die. You know, you sent it off into commission, and nothing ever happened again. I think with the current speaker, there's been some good legislation that has come out of commissions. And so when the speaker asked me to serve, I was glad to do it. This is a very important issue, and whatever I can lend by either legal expertise, history of government in Rhode Island that I've been personally involved with, or understanding of the issue, I'm certainly willing to do, and I look forward to serving with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, I'd like to discuss the enabling resolution and read a portion of it so that we can focus on the primary objective of this commission. Reading from page 2 of the resolution. The purpose of said commission shall be to make a comprehensive study and provide recommendations to update and clarify the Residential Landlord and Tenant Act and any additional issues the commission deems necessary to address pertaining to the landlord-tenant relationship. And just so everybody's clear, everybody has been provided a complete copy of the updated current Residential Landlord and Tenant Act. Would anybody like to be further heard on the purposes of this commission and/or the enabling resolution? No? All right, thank you. Next on the agenda are next dates for this committee to meet. And I believe that we have previously discussed, or at least have had approved, the following dates through the end of 2024. It would be October 3rd, November 14th, and December 5th. All of those will be at 3:30. And I believe they'll be in this room, and if they're not, we'll get communication as to what room we should appropriately attend.
Could you give them again, Judge?
Absolutely. October 3rd,
Yeah,
November 14th,
November 14th, okay.
and December 5th. Certainly, as we go into 2025, we start having speakers, we start listening to testimony, then we can revisit, certainly having additional dates added to the calendar. But I think at this time of the year, going into the holiday season and stuff, it's probably better to start off with once a month. And I believe that based off, attendance. So although we have had all the individuals on this commission that are here today identify themselves and tell us a little bit about their background and what they see their role is in this commission, we will take a formal attendance in this matter.
Thank you, Chair. The Honorable Christopher Smith.
Here.
Representative David Morales.
Here.
Representative Mary Ann Shawcross Smith. Representative David Price.
Place.
Oh, it says place. Okay. The Honorable Francis Flaherty.
Here.
Daniel Denbier.
Denver, here.
Denver. Gregory Weiss.
Here.
Julie Finn. Here. Steve Conti.
Here.
Jeff Dana.
Here.
Shannon Elizabeth Weinstein.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that's all of the business that we have for today. Will somebody move to adjourn this commission?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We're so adjourned. Thank you, everybody, and I look forward to working with everybody in the future.